Hello, everybody, and welcome back to BMRL Network. Here tonight, we are live once again here around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Xfinity Series. We had last week's Xfinity and Truck Series, but we didn't have the Cup Series. We've got this day, and we should be moving on to the race as soon as we have some drivers ready on for the grid ready for the race. So it's going to be interesting. It should be 150 laps of the track circuit around here. It'll be first stage 85 to 150 will be third and final stage. Meanwhile, we have Sean Cross out on the track. Then Peppers comes around as well and goes quickest so far of the two drivers that have posted a time so far. It's Zebby here, and I have Chris alongside. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. Just ready for another week of racing here at BMRL. Starting off with the Xfinity series here. It's going to be a fun one, I think.
Yeah, it definitely will be some fun. So talking about Atlanta Motor Speedway last time around, it was a very, very tight track and tight racing. We saw a lot of wrecks and incidents around here. So how are we shaping up here at Las Vegas? You know, you having obviously seen many races before, very first time for myself to see. I find this track very similar to Daytona maybe. Are we going to see any similar racing around there, or even better here at Las Vegas?
So yeah, like in terms of shape, this one is very similar to, pretty much all of your ovals. There's not a tri-oval, it's more of just a quad oval on the front stretch. Tracks like Talladega have that tri-oval. Daytona, Las Vegas, Kansas, they all have that quad oval. So in terms of racing, same track shape, but a lot smaller. This one's only 1.5 miles compared to that 2.5 miles at Daytona. So there's going to be a little bit of a draft, but not much. We're going to see, in comparison to the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the season, where it's just been plate tracks, a lot of bump drafting going on. This one's going to have a lot more racing going on. So we're not going to see lines of drivers going around each corner of this track. It's just going to be pretty much wherever you're comfortable racing, whether that's the top, the middle, the bottom. Yeah, it's just going to be up to these guys wherever they want to go, however much speed they've got. And braking zones are going to be a big player here on turns 1 and 3.
That explains it, especially those braking zones. When are you braking? The drivers sometimes, maybe if you've got a lot of fractors around here, you can judge them correct, but that judgment doesn't always go correct. So at the moment, we have 8 drivers having done a lap time on board. We are now watching up with the 97 car into the cockpit of themselves. Currently third quickest of them all.
And it looks like that last lap, he does increase his lap time, but not enough to jump up the board anymore. So far, Ryan Philbrick up top.
Ryan Philbrick at top ahead of everyone, just down behind is Ramsdale in that third place. Then comes Roses, then Moore in that 45. Then it's Dustin Hardy in that 33. Then should be Jeff Peppers, number 7. Car number 7 in P6, and then it's Denson in P7, car number 91. Then it's Sean Cross, last and slowest of them running 8 cars we've seen so far.
Yeah, and then we won't see Chris Cornett or Brandon Yates qualify tonight. Those two have penalties that are carrying over from last week. So those two will be a no qualify, start at the end of the field, and then we're going to see them drop down pit road for a pass-through penalty on lap number 3. So once those guys hit pit road, don't be alarmed. They're only doing it because they have to.
Interesting. So they're not allowed to qualify. I see Chris Cornett, Brendan Yates, and Roberts as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen Roberts before in the series so far. Maybe a new face around here.
Yeah, it's gonna be his first race here at BMRL. He joined last Sunday, the Sunday prior to yesterday, last week. So we didn't see him race at all last week, but this will be the first time we're seeing him.
Fantastic. Hope to see some new drivers' faces and racing as well, as we are just waiting for the few of those drivers to grid up and we go racing as the grid is ready up for you all. It's going to be Dakota Ramsdale in that second place. Just ahead of him would be Ryan Philbrick. Right behind Ramsdale would be Andrew Gross, and then it's going to be Chris Moore, Corey Moore. Then it's going to be Dustin Hardy in that fifth place. Jeff Peppers follows him up into sixth. Then comes Corey Denson in seventh and Sean Cross in eighth. Then it's Chris Cornett and Brennan Yates ninth and 10th, of course, not allowed to qualify. Then it is William Roberts, the 11th and final car out on the grid. As we are going, the rock cars are rolling now right behind the pace car. Very eager to go racing very, very soon, as all of them would just be waiting for it to go green and get started. All these 11 cars right around here. What are we having a look at these guys? What are they pretty much planning in those first stages? Considering the experience of Volvo racing, moreover, we are going to see these guys pretty much fight it out into the second and third stage, but maybe some drafting, some holding back a little from overtake in that first stage, or are these drivers going to go at it all at once?
I feel like we're going to see them all go at it. I don't think we may see a couple of guys fall back, but I do not think they can make these stages without stopping for fuel. Like I said, like you said earlier, we got 40 laps for stage 1 and then 85 for the next. So I don't know their fuel mileage, but if I remember correctly from last season, it's about 30 to 35 laps of fuel. So these guys may need to stop one time here before the stage yellow.
Yeah, so they might need to be, or maybe if they're trying to stay safe from fuel, they could get on those few laps. But as soon as the pace car is in, we're going to see this go green, and it's going to be the 06 car leading up ahead of everyone. Meanwhile, 97 on the inside, and there's a car around the outside of him. All are going at it already, as we're going to see these guys go into turn 1, 2, and 3. They're all at it. Meanwhile, the number 6 leading it up ahead of everyone. Ryan Philbrick right behind him is going to be Ramsdale in that second place, and it's going to be, of course, Andrew Gross in that third, and then Dustin Hardy in fourth. Meanwhile, that's going to be around the outside. A car we see that should be Dustin Hardy, 33, I believe, around the outside of that number 7 car. Is it Hardy or it's somebody else? We're just going to see it around the outside when the car comes. It is indeed Hardy around the outside. He sends it up. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers is struggling a little bit down the inside line. He's on the inside line, still staying there, but not quite finding some speed to get ahead and to find himself and give himself the push as everybody now moves to the outside and that single file lane. Meanwhile, Peppers now goes back to the inside line to get that little extra push and speed as they're wheel to wheel there again, very together driving out of these two, 97, 97 and number 7, who's going to be coming out on top though. Both of them are still very, very good, are again together, but just not enough for Jeff Peppers so far. He's still just keeping Andrew Gross, just keeping Jeff Peppers right behind. Meanwhile, we see a 97, I believe, or it was somebody else just moving around. That is the 15 car. Letting maybe just going to the back of the field there as Jeff Peppers still finds it hard, just can't quite get ahead of the 97 there.
Yeah, it looks like the 15 and the 87 of Chris Cornett both coming off a pit road after serving their drive-through penalties. Looks like Brandon Yates in the 15, yeah, he's gonna get caught by the leaders, but it looks like Chris Cornett is still gonna stay out in front, so he's gonna be on the lead lap for the time being. And the good thing about this track is that drafts really don't matter, so he's going to be carrying enough speed, and if not as much speed as the leaders will be.
Sure, I mean, sure, the drafting isn't much important, but it still is, if even a little bit, it might be, as you're going to see the top 2 very close to Chris Cornett there. I think, moreover, he's just rather going to wait for a caution or for probably the end of the stage and just try and can pretty much be thinking that how much he shouldn't have gotten this penalty really, unless he could keep himself ahead and try and get back to the back of the field, which would be pretty hard for him, not easy enough. I mean, sure, there might not be drafting as much important, but it still, at the end of the day, is important and gives you as much speed as you would need. As Chris Cornett now just very close to those leaders with Phil Brick and Dakota. They're very, very close now to each other, as well as to the car ahead of Chris Cornett, but still not close enough, though. But we aren't seeing much cars closer to each other so far. Sure, they're close, but not close enough for a move.
Yeah, and so yeah, like you said, that there is this track it does have drafting, as you see a lot of these guys out of the corners of turn 2 to be exact. They will kind of pull up to the rear bumper of the guy in front of them as they do catch that air. So yeah, drafting will play in this this race here tonight, but just not as much as a plate race would give us. But yeah, as you see, the 6 is pulled onto the 87's air there. He's pretty much pulling that draft off of that 87 at this point.
Yeah, he's really getting that help from the car in front, we see, and we're going to see him move to the high line there to maybe pull away, but then Cornett moves to the outside line as well, maybe try and keep the leaders as right behind him for as long as he can. Of course, I'm sure he won't be allowed to keep them for too much right behind him. He would have to be getting a penalty if he does so. So he would be wanting to get out of the way as soon as possible. Meanwhile, we're already into lap 9 out of the 40 that we are supposed to do in that first stage. And Ranfield Brick so far seems to be very comfortable. Hasn't quite got the challenge that Ramsdale would have hoped to give him there. Meanwhile, Peppers is on his way to try and overtake Andrew Gross, but just not quite enough. We've seen some racing, drafting, as you said, maybe not as effective, because we've seen Jeff Peppers very close to Andrew Gross there, but he's just not close enough to challenge him, to go for that move, to really make it anything up for him, because he's not able to pressurize him at all, unless here we see Andrew Gross make his own mistake, or just go ahead and send it in the wall on the outside. There's not much that we're going to see Peppers do unless he finds some extra speed or that drafting, or at one point or the other in the race that slipstream works out for him and sees him get ahead. At the moment, he's going to switch to the inside line once again, just thinking that there could be somewhat of it, but just the 97 keeps it in between. Look at that, he's almost in the middle of the track there, trying to defend from outside and on the inside line, so leaving no space for Peppers to try and overtake. But this time around, he might just get it, as on the inside line goes Jeff Peppers, and he's just going to get ahead of Andrew Gross there and take the position that he was fighting for all race long so far, as just right now, he's going to come back at him, would be Andrew Gross. He's going to switch from outside to the inside line. He's going to send one as well, as both of them switch now, one outside to the inside. Peppers came at him, but now so does come Andrew. Right behind them is one more car, as Peppers now goes to the inside line. Is he heading into the pit road for this movement we saw? But he is not, as he would have to back out now and let Andrew Gross get ahead and lead the pack of 3 cars there.
Yeah, Andrew Gross tagged the wall there on that entrance to turn 1, which allowed Jeff Peppers to swipe in down low, but Andrew really using, like you said, like that slipstream to his advantage, and was able to pull in back underneath Jeff Peppers there on the backstretch. And now it looks like...
Now, meanwhile, that looks like Jeff Peppers got to move a little bit, but meanwhile now Denson's right behind as well in that 91 for those guys. The pack of 4 cars is on the inside line. Denson's going to switch up on the inside, but far away, just not close enough. He's got cars right behind him as well. The pack is all around, and exactly we saw with Andrew Gross hitting the wall on the outside, and that would probably be the only way for the cars behind to overtake so far in this race. If one makes a mistake ahead of you, you try and come back, but we saw he made a very good comeback there. He did not let Jeff Peppers hang in there, but he might just be able to hang in there for now, for a moment. Once again, he thought to go through on the inside line, but just getting back to that outside. As it stands so far on lap 14 out of 150, that first stage has not been too crazy, but still some drivers seeing out there. A lot of no more double lanes there. We're seeing pretty much these drivers going single file and really hang in there, pretty much hopefully staying out of any wrecks or incidents for the time being, at least so far. Here and there, we see incidents nevertheless in one or the other races. Meanwhile, Dustin Hardy right behind the 91 of Denson there. He's going to try and challenge him because they've got the car right behind them, but he's not going to be worried about that. That's not Dustin, in fact, that is Sean Cross in that 3. That is Dustin Hardy at the back in 8th place, pretty much at the back of the grid. Meanwhile, Sean Cross is going to go on the inside line of Corey Denson there. He's still going to be able to hang it up, will be Denson. He's doing some good defending moves. He's able to defend him, and he goes very, very wide on that outside line, and that's going to allow Sean Cross and the 45 right behind to get through as well. That's going to be positions lost, but a mistake made, and he's going to have to pay the price for that, Will Denson there.
And back up here, right now the 3rd and 4th place being battled for from the 97 of Andrew Gross and Jeff Peppers in the 7. Jeff still trying to reel in that 97 car. He's gonna have the speed going into turns 1 and 2. Out of 2 onto the backstretch, can he get enough of a draft off of him? And he's gonna jump down low. He's gonna have the bottom of the track. Can he get a great exit on 4? Oh, what tight racing.
Very close. The racing has been close and tight out there for all of these drivers. Racing all around. I think the fight for the race lead is on. Meanwhile, he's far away. In fact, not quite close enough. But that 3rd and 4th place fight, as you said, between Peppers and Andrew Gross is very, very close. Meanwhile, Chris Cornett is still able to stay ahead of the leaders. They haven't been able to get closer. Sure, he's helped a little the race leader, Ryan Philbrick, to stay ahead and maybe get a little bit of that slipstream to keep him closer, but not close enough, as Dakota is far away from him as well to try and any challenge. I mean, at the moment, he's quite chilling on his own in that race lead.
Yeah, it looks like you say, you have Ryan Philbrick really dominating the performance here tonight. The winner of last week's race at Atlanta, that one came down to the final lap. And right now he's pretty much starting where he left off, up there in the front. Comes Andrew Gross and company.
Everybody there, meanwhile, once again, for a moment, Jeff Peppers thinks, and I think for a moment earlier we saw Andrew Gross hitting that wall. Peppers came in on the inside, but Andrew Gross then just had enough speed and pace to keep himself ahead, to keep himself to make a comeback and not let Jeff Peppers stay ahead of him. He really had that in him, and so far he might not do have him, as on the inside line one more time is going to be Jeff Peppers' car, number 7, very wide, did the 97 there, and that's going to allow Jeff Peppers to go on the inside line and get ahead of him and move himself into 3rd place one more time. Now, unless Jeff Peppers makes a mistake or is just not able to defend this position, only then we can see Andrew Gross coming back at him, but he's not going to let him have easy on him at all. He's going to come back at him, challenge him, put him the pressure that he was himself earlier in it. But once again goes the 97 very, very wide there. He's finding it very hard out there, just trying to stay on that inside line or just stay away from those walls. He's made the contact quite a few times now in these 22 laps, but around the outside one more time. He's going to try and come back at the Sav 7 car, and he's going to be able to do that. As we saw, Jeff Peppers, is he heading into pit road? Yes, he is. He got to the inside line, maybe slowed down a little to help himself get into the pit lane. Is he heading in for fuel, or has he got damage? Only time will tell as we see him head into the pit lane.
Yeah, it looks like Jeff gonna take an advantage here. Is he only going to take fuel? This is probably a strategy being played out for the first stage, and yep, there he goes, fuel only. He's going to set himself up to go the rest of this stage here. Let's just hope that his entrance and his exit of pit road are flawless, because that's where your races can be won or lost. Just depending on how, you enter pit road. Are you entering too fast? Will you get penalized? Are you entering too slow and losing time? Are you exiting too fast and getting penalized? Are you exiting too slow and losing time? That's one of those things that could really make or break your race under green flags.
Yeah, that has it, as we call it in open wheel world. It's the strategy call. Either you undercut a driver or you overcut a driver. You undercut a driver, basically it means you pit before them and then you try and outpace them while they're out on some lace fuel. They'll have to make another pit stop, or their tires going off as well. And overcut means that you pit after them, you stay out a little bit longer, you do a little bit of a better race on your less fuel, maybe, because that could be helpful for the drivers ahead. They don't have much fuel, they don't have much weight on the cars to really stop them or stop their pace, and then when they pit and they exit out in a better position. But we'll see how is Jeff Peppers going to be able to do this race so far. At the moment, he's far away outside that top 6 at the moment, outside the top 7 in fact. He's in 8th place currently, right behind Chris Cornett as well. So Cornett having to pit earlier. So just a question, with Cornett paying that penalty earlier, does he get any fuel, or that is just a drive-through penalty and he has to drive through the pits and get back out without anything?
He did not take fuel, so that drive-through penalty earlier was just driving just down pit road, so having to go to that speed. I think it's 55 miles per hour, or 45 here. I think it's 45 miles per hour here. So that drive-through penalty making him slow down to whatever pit road speed is and just kind of driving the whole distance, not allowed to stop or anything.
Yeah, that makes sense. So he's got to be pitting out there. So that'll be Chris Cornett having to get out of the way of Jeff Peppers, but they're far away from themselves out on the track. And Chris Cornett now moving to the outside line, letting the leaders get past, but just not close enough. I mean, he's not overtaking him. He's going to be lapping him out there, but still not quite able to do it. He's still able to keep Ryan Philbrick ahead of him, or maybe Ryan Philbrick thinking that he's got a lot better chance just staying right behind Chris Cornett and getting that slipstream and getting that little extra speed on the straights that he would want, which would obviously help him stay ahead. But this time around, not anymore. One more time. This is a bit of a racing that's going on here between the two. Cornett not letting him pass. Philbrick wanting to go through, but not enough for him to get through so far. Both of them very close to that outside line.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting with all these drivers having to make a pit stop. I don't think anyone can make it without having to stop for fuel. And so it's going to be very interesting because we've seen the Sean Cross and Jeff Peppers already pitted. And Jeff Peppers 1 second faster on pit road than Sean Cross. Corey Denson also pitted. He was 1 second slower than Jeff Peppers as well. And so when you look at these two right here, Chris Cornett really trying to fight to stay on the lead lap with the leader within 2 car lengths behind him. That's like, that's about... I don't even want to know what the seconds are. But Chris Cornett, whenever he pits, he cannot have any sort of mistake. He needs to get on and off pit road at the quickest possible in order to come back out and stay in front of this 06 car. So he's going to have a flawless pit stop here.
Yeah, he would surely need that to have not many problems in that pit stop and in that pit road. But this time around, one more time, they're 06, try and go around the outside and maybe get ahead of Chris Cornett, but just not enough. And I think now we're getting to the part where drivers are going to take those pit stops. They're going to take fuel. And as you just talk about it, Ranfield Bricks head straight into the pits, and we'll see how quick or slow is his pit stop, as that is going to be Ramsdale just coming out ahead, and he might have just jumped out there, or either he wouldn't have jumped. He would be quite behind 06 there, I believe.
Yeah, so Dakota Ramsdale coming down pit road, only a 35.95 second stop. Jeff Peppers at a 38.62. Andrew Groves at 36.3. So far, Dakota with the fastest stop, about 3 seconds faster than Jeff Peppers. And here comes Ryan, a 42-second stop. So Ryan going to lose a lot of ground, especially on Dakota, as Dakota does go around him. And there he goes down the backstretch. So Ryan, major mistakes. That's what we talked about. Exiting and exiting pit road. Ryan obviously with some sort of issue. causing him to be a 42-second stop.
Yeah, there might have been something. Either he just filled up more fuel than he would have wanted, or maybe slight damage from clipping those walls on the inside that we might have not been able to capture a little. Sometimes the teams, want to but you go in there, you're unexpected, but you've got the damage ticked up, and they try and repair it. So maybe a few seconds of that, but I don't think anything that'll be repaired in those 5 or 4 seconds at the moment. Chris Cornett still staying out there, and he seems to be in the lead of the race and ahead of everyone, 2.9 seconds ahead of Dakota Ramsdale. But as soon as Chris Cornett comes in, Dakota's going to get his lead and move himself up into the first place. But are we going to see anyone at this moment in time go to the end of the stage in first place without any pitting there?
We might. Brandon Yates and Chris Cornett both had that penalty on lap number 2. Those guys still out on the track, both of them on the lead lap as Brandon Yates gets his lap back in the 8th place. I don't know, but we may see both of these guys may possibly have what it takes to stay out for the rest of this stage. There's only 5 laps left.
Yeah, not many laps now, so maybe if they just have enough fuel. I mean, at this point in time, Ramsdale, 2 seconds, 1.9 seconds. He's gaining so much on Cornett there. He might be just getting slower. His fuel could be coming down, or it's just Ramsdale's pace, speed, and performance that's keeping him get closer and closer to Chris Cornett there on lap 36 now already. So not many laps now remaining to the end of that first stage. And Chris Cornett prioritizing that stage 1 victory here. That's looking like at this moment in time.
Yeah, as he continues to stay out, he's not going to make any movement to go down onto pit road this time. So he's going to stay out another lap. Those guys may have saved enough fuel to go the rest of this distance by coming down pit road and coming to a slower pace where they don't have to use the gas pedal, able to conserve a lot of fuel. And now he's still a second and a half in front of Dakota here. Both of these guys are teammates. Looking back a little bit further, we have 7 seconds behind his 3rd place. So I mean, even if Chris Cornett's really cutting it close, he's able to up and he's gonna come down pit road. So not going to be able to do it. If he comes in,
he might have just not had enough. He would have thought that he might make it, but might not. He would have been double-minded in there, and I think that sometimes kills your race or hope that you would have kept from yourself. So probably safer and better chance to come in. And we saw he was losing a lot to Ramsdale, so is that related? Are we seeing these cars go down on fuel and down in that speed as well, or that doesn't affect much?
So what we probably saw him doing was using a lot less gas pedal, maybe hoping that he would be able to go the rest of the distance. So cutting off, using that gas pedal so much, and trying to save that fuel. And now we're going to see him go a lap down. As you were saying, like Dakota was catching him so much that his pit stop now was just going to put him behind 1 lap here. And it looks like Brandon Yates is also he did pit this time as well. Back on the track for him. Not going to be on the lead lap again. Very interesting.
Interesting now to the end. We are coming up on lap 40 out of 40. This would be the last and final lap to the end of this first stage, as we are having Dakota Ramsdale looking very comfortable for the stage 1 win right here, as we are just going to come across and cross that line. Going to be going Dakota Ramsdale, and that should be coming up yellow anytime soon, and that's going to cause up yellow, and that is Dakota Ramsdale, your stage 1 winner here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Right behind is going to be Phil Brick. Jeff Pepper's getting...
Andrew Gross 4th. Sean Cross going to get 5th. Corey Denson 6th. Dustin Hardy 7th. Chris Cornett 8th. Corey Moore 9th. And Brandon Yates 10th.
And that marks the end of what we thought was going to be some great racing. Sure, we didn't saw many wrecks, but not a lot of close racing. There are a lot of drivers, as you said, drafting maybe not effective, and that we are seeing that here out on track, because a lot of drivers far away from each other, not able to run close enough, or they were just holding off in those first few stages. Maybe just try and get that back on when in those second and third stage, when it's the final time and when it all counts for that race win, which I'm sure every one of those would be wanting. Will be very interesting to see how all of these go as we move on to the second stage.
Yeah, and looking at it, so the reason why Brandon Yates did fall back another lap here is because I think he took tires on that pit stop, which may end up working out very well for him, as Chris Cornett will get the lucky dog as he's going around the pace car to get his lap back, and then Corey Moore out in front, and Brandon Yates going to get what we call the waiver. Oh wait, no, because Jeff Peppers stayed out on track. So Jeff Peppers stayed out on the track, so that's going to stop Brandon Yates from getting the waiver round, which I was going to say, if Brandon Yates got the waiver round, he would not have to pit, as he just pitted about 4 laps ago.
That explains it. Does Jeff, but Jeff was ahead of everyone, so
yeah, so Jeff definitely playing a strategy here. He's going to stay out and start up on the lead here. But he did pit on lap number 22, so he's going to go down pit road.
Yep. Won't be making it. So does Brendan.
Oh, yeah, Brandon Yates comes down as well. Interesting.
Very, very interesting. This marks the pace car lights still on. We're still going to see it out there. Maybe at the end of this lap, we're going to see it going into the pits and we do the restart. But it'll be interesting to see how this is all going to be fading out. It'll be, of course, even if it's a 45-lap restart, it would still be pretty much similar laps here and there to 85 to the end to the end of that second stage. So we're just having this race now. Hope you're enjoying it so far. Not many overtakings, but don't expect the same from second and the third stage, which is very exciting as we are just now on the pace car. Lights go off and we should be going green anytime soon now, as the car will come in and we'll see us go racing, go again, and we're going to see Ramsdale leading ahead of Dustin Hardy, ahead of Ranville Bricks, ahead of Corey Denson. Right behind in 5th place is Jeff Peppers, who pitted quite late, but is right behind those guys. And now, anytime soon, we're going to see the pace car come in, and the pack of the first 5-6 cars in there is going to be very exciting. So the double files, 2 on the outside, 2 on the inside line, and as soon as we have the restart, we have the pace car go in, not yet in the pit lane so far. The lights are off, but we are expecting it to go in anytime soon now. And as soon as it's in, we are going to be seeing it go in, as now the drivers are ready. Look at Dakota Ramsdale, how close you see he is to that pace car, and just hanging that inside line, just keeping it there. Meanwhile, on the inside line there, Dustin Hardy, I believe, just trying to warm up these tires, just trying to generate some temperature, heat, and grip in those tires, of course, because if you're not having any grip, you will find it very hard to get the restart sorted, get the restart how you want as the pace car goes in, and that's going to be green flags as we go racing one more time here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's gonna go Gleam. Ramsdale leads ahead of Phil Brick, ahead of Dustin Hardy, ahead of Corey Denson, ahead of Jeff Peppers. Right behind is gonna be Brendan Yates, and all the drivers right behind, following right behind. As we're gonna say, gets a very good start. Restart does Ramsdale. He's just ahead of everyone. The fight now seems to be on between Hardy and Corey Denson as Phil Brick is right behind. Is Ramsdale there? But it's interesting to see how this is all gonna be going on between the top 4 cars out there, which will be a little complicated. Not complicated enough for any of the top 2 drivers. Not much closing in between these guys. Gaps forming up quite a lot here. As we have to pick it up back again. Ramsdale seems to be struggling a little bit there, as has got the 06 of Ryan Phil Brick scored up to him very, very close, and he might just get ahead of him there as he went to the inside line, but gets back to the front and saves it back again. And Phil Brick might not be happy about that, or he would have caught him a little by surprise how he came back, but he's still far away, still not very close, so that is going to be nothing but more hard work to do for Ryan Phil Brick there to try and get ahead. It was Phil Brick, of course, ahead of everyone before the end of that stage, but in the end, Ramsdale making those strategies count, and that got him the victory, and that still sees him stay ahead of everyone since the restart. Once again, we're already on lap 49 out of 50. Meanwhile, there is a car in the pits, and that is Andrew Gross. He has pitted. He might have had a bit of a problem out there. Sure, he wouldn't have pitted for fuel. I'm sure he would have pitted earlier, or maybe didn't make a pit stop earlier, or he's setting on for tires or fuel, or some damage that we are yet to see. Because he saw him hit the outside wall a lot of the times earlier. He might have just made contact with one of the walls out there. That could have been the reason, as we are now on to lap 50. 50 laps done out of 150. So 100 to go now to the end. As these guys one more time keeping it out there. The gap still stays long enough for these two to really not be close enough for an overtake for racing. There's a lot of gaps forming up with these almost back at 2 with each car as the leaders. Then there's another 2 cars and out there. Then right behind are the 15 and 33, very closer to each other to the end, I believe. But we'll see. It's 45 and 33, in fact, very close to each other, but far away. I mean, nobody's really close enough to go for a move or for an overtake here in this time out of the race. So out here in this race so far. At 52 out of 150, 85. Remember, we're going to go to the end of this stage, so we're going to see how this is all going to be panning out. Is it going to be Ryan Phil Bricks taking that race stage 1 victory? Is it going to be Ramsdale taking that victory? Or will Jeff Peppers find his way and get closer to those guys? Or will it be Chris Cornett, who in fact has found his way to the end of that, to the front of these guys, and that sees him in 3rd place so far?
Yeah, Chris Cornett, his night started off a little rough, having to serve that drive-through penalty, but like I said, he's going to find himself up in the top 3 now after that stage. However, Brandon Yates still going to find himself not on the lead lap, 1 lap down, with Corey Moore in front of him 1 lap down. Dustin Hardy in the 7th position. Corey Denson.
Corey Denson out there in 6th place. He's found out there, and we just move on. Then there is a move right behind 45 and 33. Now scraping it out there.
Dakota Ramsdale continuing to lead this thing. Dustin Hardy going to find himself in the top 5 as he's in 4th place. Jeff Peppers and Sean Cross on pit road. Making a strategic call here to pit early once again. Ooh, Jeff Peppers still on pit road here. Something going on. Uh-oh. What is going on with Jeff? Not good. And there we go. Jeff Peppers back on the track after a horrible pit stop there. 1 minute and 15 seconds. He's going to be a lot of laps down here. I think about 2 laps down. Not looking good. Thank you, David Mayo, on the congrats on the new incomer to my family here. And then Bubba J Racing, thanks for the broadcast, he says. And that is, you're welcome there, man. I love BMRL. BMRL's been my go-to thing to do outside of, you know, my real job and family time. It's been the bread and butter to my freedom. Broadcasting, racing, whatever the case is.
Now we on.
All right, yeah. So far, so good. A lot of drivers making their second pit stop here of the race. Only our top 4 have not made another pit stop.
Four drivers maybe just trying to save up a little, maybe still playing out. Look at that gap between Ramsdale and Philbrick, over half a second. That gap just staying there, but the close between Denson and Hardy there between the two, 33 and 91. Still keeping it there, just staying out there. So top 5 not pitting, the rest of them choosing to pit, choosing to maybe get tires if they need, take a little bit more fuel to see them get to the end of that race. So strategy playing out a big role here in this race. Moreover, winning out on track with the drafting not much effective. It could well be the strategies that win or lose you the races.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, yeah, it's especially when you race a race without any yellow flags, and those only yellows are stages. And each stage, everyone pits. When you have to pit under green, yeah, it's your strategy. You know, it's either going to make or break you. We like to say, either going to win your race or lose your race, and it all just falls on who can be the most efficient, who can be the fastest, who can be the cleanest on the pits. Yeah, most efficient on pit road is what it kind of boils down to. I mean, like I said, if you're coming off of the track and you are at the perfect speed, you do not lock up those tires, you hit pit road at the exact speed that you need to be at, you do everything flawless, you're going to have an outstanding stop. You're going to be back on that track within moments. Whereas the guy that enters pit road really fast and has to hit the brakes and lock up those tires, that's going to lose a little bit of time. You know, and that little bit of time can really depict where you are on that track. I mean, you can see right here the 91 on the track, or like here, Dakota Ramsdale. Just behind him, that right there is 14/100ths of a second, that gap between those two drivers. So imagine that 14/100ths of a second, that little bit of a distance that somebody has over you on pit road, that's what that distance looks like on the track. And here we go. Looks like Ryan looking to make a pass. Not quite going to have it. He's going to get a nice run out of turn 2, going on the outside of Dakota. But Dakota going to slide up there, block Ryan, but Ryan's going to get one heck of a draft off of him. And he's going to be right there, right on his bumper, going up the track. They're not quite neck and neck, but they're side by side. Ryan going to try the crossover, not going to work. He's going to jump back up high going into turn 1. And now he's going to have to reset everything up as he slides up the track, and he loses and falls to about 3 car lengths behind here. About 0.2 of a second.
Very close racing between the two, just not enough to get past. Very close between the two, just scraping all around, just racing on it all around, but just not close enough, not enough to get through, not enough to overtake so far. Ramsdale has been able to defend it and stay and keep the no 6 car right behind him, just taking that lead after that first pit stops in that first stage. Haven't given up on it and still fighting out for it so far. Has been very good racing. 06 there, giving him a little bit of pressure, but just not enough to get past, and still finds himself far away from that overtake being done. Lap 74 out of 150. We're getting closer to that end of this second stage, and this is the closest battle out of them all we're having. But this one is very close as well. The lead is, but this one between Hardy and Denson there for third place out there. This is very, very close. Corey Denson and Dustin Hardy, the 33 and 91 there. Very, very close between them, but just not enough. Not as easy to overtake as you've seen at some other oval tracks around the season so far. The first two were quite not as hard as this one, but still very, very close between Hardy and Denson there. This could well be ending in one's delight, the other's disaster, but still very close enough. I mean, no wrecks, no incidents from this race so far. The drivers are really cautious, clean, and patient so far in this race, not making those risky moves, up down the inside line. Jensen thought for the inside line, but just getting back on the outside line. But this time around the outside, he might just try and get ahead. He might just get ahead. This is very, very close. Could well be hitting the wall on the outside. He gets very close one more time. Even Dustin Hardy far away from him, but he almost clipped the wall there.
Yeah, it was a very tight racing right there. It looked like they might have almost got into each other, but not anything bad here. But looks like Dustin gonna still be out in the third place.
Dustin able to do some defending. Denson might have there for a moment, even for a little bit. He thought he would have been through, and it looked like he was going to get ahead, but just not enough. Overtaking, just not enough, and easy. Like anything you try to do, the driver ahead finds their way to defend and block you and not let you past.
All right, there we go. Denson
and one
once
more time,
again.
very, very close. Between the two drivers there, Dustin Hardy and Corey Denson might just wind his way through this time around on the inside line. Dustin Hardy's going to try and defend, but Denson might just try and come back at him one more time on the inside line as they're going to have a car come cover it up. But these two are at it. Meanwhile, the top two are in the pits, but Denson is on the inside line, trying to get ahead of Denson there. Denson just finds it a way to try and defend, but is his defending going to be enough? Not enough this time around. He gets ahead and moves himself up into second place. But that, in fact, is going to be the lead of the race so far. As the lead.
Corey Denson does take the lead here. Dustin Hardy there in second. These two pitted on lap number 42. Dakota Ramsdale out on the track once again here. Gonna be very interesting.
This interest is coming up with just 5 laps to go to the end of the second stage. The pushings from the drivers are on. The racing is looking like to be on into that third stage. Sure, we haven't had as good of close racing in the first 2 stages as Dustin Hardy's stopped in there, I believe. He might be in the pits there or something has happened.
Yeah, Dustin.
He's in the pit road.
Surrendering second place to come down pit road here. Dakota Ramsdale on the backstretch. Dustin's got to get in his spot, get a little bit of fuel, and hit that track again. But here comes Dakota around out of turn 4 across that quad oval. And he's going to pass Dustin on pit road. Dustin still, there he goes. He's coming to a roll finally as Chris Cornett passes him there on the screen. Ryan Philbrook passes him as well. And Dustin may lose another position. Here comes Sean Cross. Jeff Pepper's still 2 laps down. He might have got 1 lap back. Yep, he has 1 lap back. Now only 1 lap down. I believe he is the first car a lap down, so he will get that lucky dog here at the stage here in 3 laps, actually.
Yes, to the end, and Dakota might as well have his second win on that second stage. He won that first stage, and he is well set for that second stage win as well, unless we see him pit and make a late pit stop, but I don't think he will be doing so. And if I'm not wrong, he took a pit stop earlier, so it's just in between Phil Brick and Ramsdale. Chris Cornett finds himself in the middle and might just have a chance in between those two for that win as well.
All right, Dakota coming around to take lap number 84 of 85 here for the second stage. This will be our final yellow flag of the night for stages. Could be our final yellow flag period here if these guys keep it clean.
So far, this race has been the cleanest of them all, of any series so far. Of course, not many drivers around here, but still, you got to keep it clean. And we saw some of those drivers going wheel to wheel for a few moments, few laps together, still keeping it close, but not touching each other. So it has been, you have to say, very clean and precise by these drivers so far, at least, here around till lap 84, which is going to become 85, as just across that line it's going to come for Dakota Ramsdale to move into that 85th and final lap before the end of this stage here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
All right, out of turn 4. Through the quad oval, and here we go. Stage gonna be waving this time.
And that makes it victory number 2. Stage number 1 won by Dakota Ramsdale, and he does it 2 in a row in that second stage, and he just needs to final it out in that third one. But we haven't seen the yellow flag yet. Are we having some more laps for that before the end of that second stage? So far, it still has stayed green. We might just be going caution now, and it is going to be caution, so that the stage ends at lap 86.
All right, so final restart here, maybe. Guys gonna come down pit road, and that means let's go ahead and let's take a break, and we'll come back to green flag racing.
Green flag, green flag.
All right. We're back racing for the final stage. The final 60 laps of this race. Who's going to come out on top? These guys going to need a pit at least one more time. I think one more time is the magic number here. I don't think anyone has to do it 2 more times. We should be able to get this done.
If they've got enough fuel and pit stop to the end, of course, under the top 2, 3, and the 5 car.
All right, and then 91, Corey Denson started on the front row in the first place. He's dropped back, though, to the 6th position. Got a little loose there on turn 4. Got up in those marbles. We haven't really seen anybody drive the outside of turn 3 and 4 here, but he was up there and was really loose there. These guys had 3 sets of tires over the wall, so not everyone choosing to use those tires every pit stop. Some may have put down at least 60 laps on these tires. But Dakota, Ryan, and Chris, all 3 up in the 1, 2, 3 position right now. But look, Dustin Hardy and Jeff Peppers, they're in tow in that 4th and 5th position. Jeff Peppers looks to be trying to figure out how he can get around Dustin here. He's going to follow Dustin's draft through 1 and 2. Going to pull up high on turn number 2 exit. Going to get kind of a little run on Dustin, but not much.
Right close one more time now. Chris Cornett around the outside. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers staying right behind as well. They're doing all they can in the race in those final stages. Is now turning on the race. The fights that we've been waiting to see, the overtakes that make this race exciting, are on now. Meanwhile, 06 is going to have to defend Phil Brick from Chris Cornett in that 2nd place. Meanwhile, the leader is far up the grid, but these 4 cars, Becker cars, are out there and they are at it. Meanwhile, Chris Cornett around the outside one more time. Dakota Remsdales is at it in the race lead as Jeff Peppers just staying right behind as well. And I think now we could see anytime soon Jeff Peppers and the car ahead. Meanwhile, they're going at it. Chris Cornett and Rand Philbrick are at it one more time. It will be great to see that battle, and we are seeing those guys now. Around the outside goes Philbrick and take that 2nd place. He's going to think about challenging for that lead, but before that, he's got a Chris Cornett to fight out, who's not going to have it easy on him. He's not going to give him enough space, and he's going to go for it on the inside line one more time. Chris Cornett just putting up the pressure. They fight out to Ryan Philbricks now. It is very, very close between the two. One more time. Is Philbrick going to move to the inside line to defend? Is Chris Cornett going to move to the outside line or to the inside line to take that move done so far? They are at it. On the inside line moves Chris Cornett. He's still far away, not enough, close enough to make that move. This is going on in that meantime, but closed up and moved up to that race leader. And Ramsdale is now going to find it hard to defend from the cars right behind. Meanwhile, Jeff Peppers is going on the inside line and get ahead of Dustin Hardy there. These two are scraping it out one more time. Is Hardy going to be able to get ahead on the outside line, or it's going to be Jeff Peppers on the inside line to get ahead? This is some exciting racing, and now the stage, that third stage promise, is really living up to it so far.
Yes, indeed, a lot more side-by-side battles here. Not really side-by-side, but more of challenges, I guess you can say, going on here in this this final stage here. A little bit back here, these guys kind of running a little bit conservative. They're still got their battles going on. Brandon Yates still not back on the lead lap, as he did not get that lucky dog the last time. So he's hoping for a caution here to finish this thing, as he would get the lucky dog if a caution does come out. Corey Moore right behind him, also fighting to get back on that lead lap. He's also wanting a caution, but he needs to pass the 15 if a yellow was to come out here. And then Andrew Groves, multiple laps down. I believe he was on pit road for a long time there at the start of stage number 2. He is 8 laps down. William Roberts did not start the race. He was here, but then did not start. So, yeah, back to our leaders.
Fight is on shore. They're not much. The leaders are on it one more time, and now the 06 and Chris Cornett had pulled up to Dakota Remsdale, and I think Ryan Philbrick starting ahead of everyone today. Hasn't got the lead back since those first, at the end of that first stage. This is going to be getting very, very close between the two there, and that was Ryan Philbrick almost going into the back of Dakota Remsdale, and now Chris Cornett in there as well, but Remsdale gonna go and stay to the inside line to try and defend. Is 06 gonna be able to get ahead and get himself into that first place and take his race lead back? Both of them push to the inside line. They are almost finding and touching the cars. The wreck we haven't seen, the incidents we haven't seen any of this race so far. Remsdale, meanwhile, staying to the outside line. 06 on the inside line. Both very close. Is it going to be Remsdale late on those brakes, or is it going to be 06 late and getting ahead? But Remsdale just able to keep it ahead and make the move stick so far and able to defend. But it won't be too long before Philbrick is back at him, and he challenged Dakota Remsdale for that race lead. The top two are now in their pack and pulling away a little bit from Chris Cornett, who hasn't been able to keep up with these guys. And the top two are at it one more time in those remaining 40 laps. They're 45 laps. They're going to give us the battle that we've been looking for.
Yes, indeed. And going back into turn 3, this time Ryan going to go on the outside. And he's going to get a run going across the front stretch here, but Dakota is going to drop down low and it's going to break that air off. And that run just kind of dissipates there. So here we go, another run for Ryan here. As they approach turn 3, can Ryan get anything? He cannot. It's just going to be a steady race, I think, right here on these two. I don't think it just doesn't seem like Ryan has the better car than Dakota. It looks like they both have the same car strength here right here tonight. Ooh, Ryan gonna stick his nose up underneath Dakota on that corner. He did not touch him, but he got enough of a gap there where that air kind of just upset Dakota's car on that corner. It's crazy, the physics of these cars here, the physics of NASCAR itself on these oval races. But a lot of these tracks, when you're in the corner and you get a guy right there on your inside, on the back of your car here, it really kind of disrupts the airflow. I don't know the complete science behind it, but getting up there on the left rear of Dakota's car is really causing a disturbance in the air, and it's causing his car to get a little loose.
They're close. They're close once again. They have been scraping the cars and wheels and all around one more time on the inside line. It's going to be Phil. One more time, they're going wheel to wheel. They're very, very close, almost drifting around on the inside line. Did fail break there and just finding it very, very hard. Meanwhile, Ramsdale just gets ahead and gets that lead and moves himself up into first place so far. And this is the furthest he can go so far from Philbrick there. But Philbrick's going to give him the challenge, the fight. They challenge the fight, the performance that we want to be seeing. I think they have given us so far in this stage. In that final and third stage, they have not disappointed. And I think we will see one more time. Philbrick on the inside line, just going at it and going into the back of Ramsdale right behind their wheel to wheel almost. They're still just drafting around to get back, wheel to get back side by side and together to give us the scrape and the fight that Philbrick is wanting to give up to Ramsdale, but I think he might just have to back out a little, try and save up on those tires a little bit and hope there's going to be no problems, but there is going to be problems for Dustin Hardy there as he'll have to try and defend from Jeff Peppers on the outside line as Peppers going to come at him around the outside. He's going to try and find the pace, the speed that he's been looking for. Meanwhile, Chris Cornett has fallen right behind, even at the back of these guys as Jeff Peppers gets ahead. But Dustin Hardy on the inside line, getting ahead of him one more time. They're side by side once again. They aren't very close to each other, but close enough to give us the fight, the scrape of position that has been going on for that third one so far, as Dustin Hardy has been the one so far getting ahead, as Chris Cornett now finds himself in the middle, and Jeff Peppers becomes the one to be losing out of the three-car fight there, which is going to be Hardy ahead of everyone. Ahead of Cornett and ahead of Jeff Peppers, and this time around, Chris Cornett might just find a way to get through, but he just goes to the outside line. That's going to allow Jeff Peppers going and get through on the inside, because Cornett going very wide, but just comes back at him, and we might well have our first incident of the race. This is not going to be so much, but Jeff Peppers is pushed and touched by Chris Cornett there, as he goes very, very wide, and that could well be race done for Jeff Peppers.
Yeah, it looked like Cornett rode that corner way too high up against the wall, and that turn 4 exit wall really kind of jumps out and it bites you, and in order to keep it from making contact with the wall, he came down a little bit too rough and got into Jeff there a little bit.
Yeah, I think lucky enough to not really hit the walls, because for Cornett as well as for Jeff Peppers, remember a few races earlier, I believe it was the Turks, or in fact Xfinity series last time around, for Cornett being involved in a lot of the incidents, so just trying to keep it out here, not get that penalty again, which he of course had at the start of the race. Just couldn't quite get away from it in time, and he tried getting away, but still clipped Jeff Peppers there, and his race is pretty much done now.
Yeah, Jeff now in danger of going a lap down. He is 2 corners away from our leaders, who are approaching turn 4 as Jeff crosses that start-finish line into turn 1. But not needing any more mistakes, but gonna have to make a green flag pit stop here before the end of the race, so needs to make sure that that pit stop is as clean as it can be to stay ahead of these leaders and stay on the lead lap. Gonna be interesting.
Hard to not really get lapped and then just try and fight out, just like Brendan Yates. After making all those green flag pit stops, he should be okay to fight back.
Alright, Corey Denson, the first one. Well, technically not the first one. Brandon Yates and Sean Cross are the first drivers down pit road. Corey Denson, the third driver down pit road. Oh, and those fresh tires really causing some issues there for Corey.
Very, very close for Corey Denson. They're just coming out of the pits, maybe not having enough temperature and grip just on those brand new tires, and that was almost trouble for him there. It was very close for him, and lucky for him to really not hit the wall, did Corey Denson.
Yeah, those tires very, very fresh, very cold indeed. And I mean, we've done 120 laps on this track, so this whole track surface is very nice and warm. And so once you put those cold tires on this very hot surface, you know, if you're not careful, those things can get away from you.
That sure will. The fight that was only between the leaders is going to spice out. It's going to spice up things a little bit as we have the green flag pit stops from all those drivers around. The ending laps might just be very interesting, and the laps that these drivers have got to be doing, they might just be very together to each other, and they could be getting together, and those packs could be piling up and getting together in this race so far. But so far we haven't seen. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they're really there to do that. Are pit stops really going to be as important as we think, and the drivers must be thinking that they are so far.
Yep, and here comes Dakota Ramsdale down pit road. Needs to make a great entrance into his box. He does. Oh, he's going to let to take his last set of tires, I believe. This could be a very, very big call, especially if Ryan Philbrick pits here. And if Ryan takes tires, if Ryan doesn't take tires, it could be bad news for Ryan himself against Dakota's fresh new tires here. You can see Dakota has a little bit of damage on the rear end of that car. There comes his teammate around him. Chris Cornett is now our leader. But Dakota Ramsdale goes down, lap down here as the leader passes him. But the good thing is that Chris Cornett will have to pit. It looks like Ryan is on pit road. Ryan getting those tires also. His time, a 44.85, the exact same time as Dakota Ramsdale. Both these guys putting down a 44.85. Here comes Dakota around turn 2. These guys are going to be close. And there is that gap for our win here tonight. If this thing stays green, there is our gap between first and second. Dakota, a few more laps on those tires compared to Ryan. Dakota's tires already in the process of getting heated up where they need to be, as Ryan just now hits the track and his tires not where they need to be. Chris Cornett last.
Yeah, it's coming back at those. Meanwhile, just gets past Chris Cornett, does Dakota Ramsdale, and definitely doing those very quick laps on those few laps older tires than Ryan Philbricks. Could well be spicing things up to the end of it, as we only have 26 laps to go to the end now, as Cornett heads into the pit lane straight away to get himself the tires, the fuels that he needs to the end of the race so far. We're just having a look at Chris Cornett coming to the pits, trying to get into the pit boxes as quick as he can so far. We're going to see him and get back up out on the track action so far, as we have Sean Cross in the pits as well. He is having that pit lane and his fuel and tires sorted up as well.
There we go. Here comes Chris Cornett. Our leader's already passed him, so his chances of a win are gone unless there is a yellow. 25 laps to go this time by. Here is our lead battle. This is potentially for the race win, unless Dustin Hardy has some speed that he's just been hiding. Can he make up 7 seconds? Dustin did pit on lap 193. So he is one of our most recent pitters here. Or, I mean, 121, jeez. 121, so he does. Oh, and Ryan gets around Dakota. Ryan does catch Dakota. And there
It's
we
on. The
go.
fight is on.
Dakota falling back. Both of these guys did take 4 tires. Dakota pitted 1 lap prior to Ryan. But Ryan moving up to the top spot here.
Ryan taking that race lead exactly where he started and get back this race lead in those first in the third and final stage with 22 laps to go here. Sure, Ramsdale was ahead of him at the end of that first and second stage, but third and final, which is the most important for that race win, which of course gives you the maximum points at the end of the race. The really important stage, the third one, and so far Ryan Philbricks takes it on, unless comes back, does Ramsdale, but he's not able to do that. And on the inside line, moving a little, trying to stay away from any of that higher or that high lane to not go into hit those walls. So far, it has been very clear between these two. The fight is on. Ramsdale won't be far away. This Ramsdale is back at it. Those 20 laps to go. So maybe he's just backing out a little. Mane's managing and trying to save those tires a little. Maybe make Philbrick use and overuse those tires, which could well be coming up against him towards the ending parts and laps of these races. So maybe some mind games going on already by Dakota Ramsdale, but I'm sure he will be very eager to get ahead of him towards those ending laps and just take this victory and make it 3 in a row and do a hat trick of stage wins here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, Dakota not really letting Orion run away with this one. Dakota staying in tail here. Meanwhile, a little back further, Dustin Hardy now almost 8 seconds behind our leader, so not catching them. He's actually losing ground on them. As Chris Cornett next up in line, he is 13 seconds behind our leader, 7 seconds behind Dustin Hardy here.
It is on. The gaps are quite a lot. Maybe not as eventful of a race, as many overtakes that we would have thought coming into it. We've saw, but still with 18 to go, things could be spicing up as we are seeing the leaders at one more time getting closer. And I think Ramsdale would not be leaving any space. He won't be leaving any gap between the two when there's only 8 laps remaining. It's 18 now, but when there is only 8, we could see these guys going together side by side, wheel to wheel racing, which we have been waiting to see so far in this race already. But this has been smooth, though both of them are staying away from incidents, problems, and anything that could go wrong for these guys. So far, it has been very smooth for a race for almost for the whole grid. But unlike Jeff Peppers and Ramsdale, who had a few incidents at the back of it earlier, these two at least have been able to stay in there on their own and get ahead, and no caution apart from the two at the end of those first and second stage. So this has been a very cleanest of the races so far.
Yes, indeed, as our leaders approach lap traffic. And get around Brandon Yates. And then now they're going to catch Corey Moore here. Dakota going to slide up the track on exit of 4. Going to drop back down. Dakota loving that apron right there on the front stretch.
Yeah, sure, but a little bit there. Philbrick would have thought and hoped that lap cars maybe hold Ramsdale for a little bit longer than they holded him, but he's back at him and just right behind him already. What are we doing now? I mean, what is Ramsdale thinking at this moment? Does he go for the move already, or does he just stay back out, stay behind him for as long as he can, and just when there's only those final few laps remaining, he goes for that lead? Or we've seen some photo finishes here, so he just stays right behind, and maybe on that final lap, he goes for that move. Because even if you are getting ahead, which we even saw him for a little bit, Phil get ahead of Philbrick, but when Philbrick had the time and laps to come back at him, he could come back at him. So if he does it on those final maybe one or two laps remaining, Philbrick would not have much to come back at them.
Right, and Dakota, I'm afraid Dakota may be all out of energy, all out of fight in that car, just enough to keep that second position. I don't think he's got what it takes. I don't know, maybe you're wrong, but as we approach 12 laps to go this time around, Dakota just losing so much ground on the 06 here.
That is getting close. The closeness, the fight that we are seeing. And we haven't seen much of anybody else apart from a little bit of Dustin Hardy and Jeff Peppers. And of course, after that incident, Peppers has been far off of the leaders as well. Meanwhile, we have a look at Dustin Hardy. He seems to be running on his own. But I think at this moment in time, you'd rather be Dustin Hardy other than anybody else, as he's running within those top drivers, I believe. Currently just ahead of we have Philbrick, Ramsdale, and just right behind them in third place, he's on them. And now Chris Cornett in fourth place as well, but he's over 12 seconds almost behind Dustin Hardy. So just as we get to a track, we saw in those first two races that drafting a bit easier in those first two races of the season, the drivers running very closer to each other. So as soon as drafting's away, it gets quite harder to even stay closer to any of these drivers, really, to make it hard for themselves, but for the driver ahead as well, just give them the pressure that they want them to give. And it's not quite easy at all for anybody at this point in time, unless you're Dustin Hardy, who just looking like kind of not having much to fight the top two and just staying in that third place, nobody right behind him. So he's quite in a chill position, as you said. Ramsdale might just not have in him much of what it takes to take the victory here, as he's fallen over 1.5 seconds behind the race leader, as we are only over 9 laps to go now. Nine laps to the end, everyone. Hope you're enjoying this race broadcast so far, only brought to you by only on BMRL Network here tonight with Zabi and Chris for the Xfinity Series, and for the Truck and the Cup Series. I will be there, not sure who will be there with me, but as Chris races all the other 2 nights, but I'm sure it will be nothing more than excitement. And we are here in these 8 remaining laps. Who are we taking as our winners tonight? Comment down, everyone. Are we going to see Philbrick take it on? Are we going to see Ramsdale? He's over 1.9 seconds behind Philbrick there, but does he switch on? Are we going to see him switch back on, switch himself up there, and get back to the top? Well, are we going to be seeing, though this could well be getting exciting, or doesn't Ramsdale just have in him? Doesn't he just have much in him what it takes to victory? And Philbrick starting ahead of everyone, fastest of everyone in that qualifying session. He might as well be looking out to be victorious here tonight, unless Ramsdale's finding something that we haven't seen so far. Could well be things very easy between, meanwhile, 45, very closer to that 97 of I'm not sure who's that 97. That must be Andrew Gross. I wonder those guys are closer out on track to each other, or could well be very closer to each other, or one of them is getting lapped, though, because that battle could well be on, and they're not close in fact. Chris Moore in that 45 is in 7th place, and 97 Andrew Gross in 10th place. So Andrew Gross might be might be already lapped by Chris Moore there. Meanwhile, Andrew Cross in that 9th place already, and I think this, with just 5 laps to go, we could well be seeing and having our winner already for the race would be Ryan Philbricks for that race lead. Not much. Meanwhile, Ramsdale has fallen far behind now. The gap over 3.2 seconds between the two.
Right, and looking back, Dustin Hardy 10 seconds behind our leader of Ryan Philbrick. His race is pretty much going to come to a stop there in the 3rd position. Actually, hold on. Chris Cornett is closing in on Dustin Hardy, now 1.2 seconds behind him. There's a gap there on your screen as Chris Cornett coming out of turn 4. There those two cars are. That gap is getting smaller and smaller. Chris Cornett could possibly get himself a top 3 finish here. Dustin Hardy holding on for dear life, trying to get that top 3 finish himself.
And, you know, as much as we would love to see Chris Cornett finish ahead inside that top 3, we'd like to see Dustin Hardy finishing inside that top 3 as well. We haven't seen much of him finishing inside those top positions so far this season here in the Xfinity Series, but we'll see. What is Hardy going to be able to do there? Is he going to be able to defend and move forward? Because just like Ramsdale, Hardy seems to be falling behind and losing out on the lead. But one man who's catching up to him is Chris Cornett, who of course would love to get back into the top 3. He struggled quite a little bit, of course, after starting in those final positions just ahead of Roberts, who wasn't able to begin his race. So just starting ahead, pretty much the last place in that last place, and then having to pay that penalty as well. Then to find himself, forget P3, let alone P4 in that position. So he's outscored and outsmarted everybody else around the circuit, and he's only got Dustin Hardy to go now. But with these 2 laps to go, is that going to be enough for Chris Cornett to get closer to him?
I don't know. I thought that it might have been possible here as we hit the final lap for our leaders. But Chris Cornett down almost a second behind Dustin. It looks like Dustin, as long as he stays straight on this track, Dustin will get that top 3 finish. But Ryan Philbrick down on the backstretch going into turn 3. This is the final 2 corners, and Ryan Philbrick will win 2 races in a row here in BMRL Xfinity Series.
On the way to do it, Ranville Bricks, the number 06 car, is a crocker, just going to come across the line and take victory here in the Xfinity Series 2 in a row. He wins Atlanta Motor Speedway, and he takes the victory at Las Vegas as well, as it's going to be Ramsdale right behind him, and as others follow, Dustin Hardy and Chris Cornett right behind as well. And I think this could well be coming up to the end, and this is very close, but not close enough. Is this going to be close enough? Not quite, though. Meanwhile, as we see, Denson finish up ahead of Jeff Peppers as well, and that marks the end out to, and sort of boring, but not boring enough. I mean, maybe not many overtakes, but not too less as well. We saw at least some sort of fighting out there between the drivers, and that marks the end to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway race, I shall say.
Yes, and Ryan Philbrick getting that win number 2 here. Starting the season off right.
Taking it as he takes that victory and having those donuts now, really enjoying the victory. And at moments at the top and ahead of everyone. Nobody close enough to catch him up here tonight.
All right, let's go ahead and get our top 3. Our 3rd place finisher here. All right, Dustin Hardy finishing 3rd place here, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. I'm sore after that one.
Yeah, long 150 laps here at Las Vegas. Caution free though, besides the 2 stages there, allowing everyone to kind of catch their breath and get reorganized, get lined back up, and that 3rd stage there seemed to do you pretty well there.
Yeah, honestly, I thought my teammate was gonna get me, but yeah, held on for a top 3. Needed it bad. Got in a hole the last 2 weeks, but would dig out of it.
Yeah, and gonna be a great points night also. Stage points as well as race finish points. So well, 3rd place points, that is. Gonna be a great points night there for you, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, before I let you go, you got anybody you want to give a shout out to or a thank you to?
Yeah, Wide Open Throttle for letting me run with them. Great group of guys and great strategy in the race, and learn a lot from them. And party designs, need any paint schemes, hit me up. But other than that, thank you, Chris, for putting on all these races and the broadcast, and Zabi and all of the other guys. Thank y'all.
No problem, man. Congratulations getting that top 3 podium finish. It's going to go great for your points here this season as we chase for a Season 4 championship.
Yes, sir. Hopefully somebody from Wide Open can get it, but we'll see.
All right, man. So congratulations, and go get them again next week. Or actually, I guess we'll see you tomorrow and Thursday night before we go to next week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ooh.
All right, Dakota Ramsdale finished in 2nd place here, man. We thought you may have had the car to win it. You or Ryan. You came out of pits ahead of Ryan, but it seemed like he just had something. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what he had. The lap coming into pits, when he got into my right rear quarter, he gave me 21 seconds of damage there. I didn't think it was going to really affect me, and it didn't on the short run. The long run is where it started really affecting me. My right rear started stepping out. I was the loosest I had been all night, but good race by him. The Big Tex Autoplex Chevy was on rails. I mean, it was a good race, clean race. Nothing I can't really complain about. Just things didn't go our way.
Right, and a fun race at that. We saw 0 cautions for any wrecks. Just the 2-stage yellows, which will allow everybody to pit and kind of I guess catch your breath, get everything lined back up. Now, as far as those green flag pit stops and tire strategy, how was that played out tonight with the 150 laps and only 3 sets?
Yeah, I mean, we had our strategy kind of set early on. We knew that having pressure tires in the final stage was going to be the way to stay up here. I'm kind of surprised that a lot more cars wasn't up here in a group. And me and Ryan just kind of pulled it away. But no, it was a fun race. When we needed to take tires, it was about that time. The fuel strategy was pretty on point. We had to save a little bit there in that first stage. We were going to try to stretch it, but quickly found out that it wasn't going to happen. So went ahead and pitted, and then everything just kind of fell into place there. We were fast tonight. Yeah, no complaints here.
All right, man. That's what I love to hear. Going to next week, we go to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Not the Roval yet, but the Oval. How do you foresee that one playing out for you and your team there?
Man, Watt Racing and me and my crew chief, we've been dominant at 1.5 tracks past couple of seasons, and I mean, I'm happy to see that I got somebody in here that is going to give me a run for my money because I like tight races like that. But next week at Charlotte, it'll be a different story. If I stay clean throughout that whole race, I'll win that race. You can mark my words.
All right, man. Before I let you go, you got any shout outs or thank yous?
Yeah, I'll shout out Big Tex Autoplex. If y'all need any used Jeeps or used cars, y'all know the deal. Just jump online, holler at Chase, and tell him I sent you. They ship all over the nation. Also, my wife watching and supporting me, let me do this every Monday night. And everybody back at the station and all my friends and family that are watching as well. And a big shout out to my dad, which is my crew chief. And I think that's about it.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. Getting the 2nd place here tonight. Got some great stage points as you chase the championship for Season 4, man.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. We won both stages, so I'm very excited about that and finished the race in 2nd. So I think hopefully that's going to keep me on top. We'll see after it shakes out.
All right, man. Well, congratulations. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thanks, man.
All right, Ryan Philbrick going to win race number 3 of the season, but that's 2 races in a row for you, Great job, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun out there. A very, very clean race. No cautions for any wrecks. Besides
Yeah, it was
the two
tiring.
stages. That's what
Yeah, my
Dustin
arms
was saying.
need a bathroom break and a drink now. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, got pole. I knew I was quick, but saving tire was going to be big. Battle with the 83. I thought we had some great battles. Ran him, I thought, pretty clean, but he was hard to pass. So you got to find a way to do it somehow. I don't consider myself dirty, but I'm very aggressive, and I will admit that I'm going to run. Especially he's quick. You know what I mean? You got to run someone like that tight to make him make a mistake or to get a run on him. You're not just going to lollygag around him. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and yeah, overall, I mean, it was great racing between the two of you. It was exciting and fun to watch all around. I mean, even for the third, fourth, and fifth place guys, at some point they were racing a pretty hard race there for that top three position. But yeah, you and Dakota kind of ran away with it all night. Both, I think. I know he won both stages. Did you finish P2 in the other in the two stages?
I think I got third once. He was good on pit road. He was beating me off pit road. I know that. But I think I got third and maybe both of them. I'm not even sure, to tell you the truth. But yeah, Las Vegas, that's one of my favorite tracks. It produces a lot of good racing, multi-grooved. You know what I mean? It's definitely fun, clean racing. Had a blast racing with everybody.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go and celebrate your win here, you got any final thoughts or shout outs or thank yous?
I just want to thank the admins, the league, the drivers for showing up, my teammate Brandon Yates, Bad Company Motorsports, Premier Setup Shop, Clean Cut Painting, SDJ Designs, and that's about it.
All right, man. Well, congratulations.
You guys for broadcasting too. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're
You
welcome.
guys for putting the broadcast on. Thank you.
No problem, man. Thank you for being out here with us, and look forward to seeing what the final, I guess, 6 races or 7 races will do for us.
Yeah, should be fun.
All right, man. Well, congratulations, and look forward to seeing you next week at Charlotte Oval.
Thank you. See you there.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up here for race number 3 of the Xfinity Series at Las Vegas. We head to Charlotte Motor Speedway next week. We will be going to the Charlotte Roval here in a few weeks. But first, we're going to see the oval part of the track. That, again, should be an awesome 1.5 mile race like we saw here tonight, as that track is almost similar to this track. A little bit different on those corners. These drivers next week going to have to really, really use that brake on turns 3 and 4, as that car can get away from you on turn 4. All right, but that's about a wrap here tonight. It's been a pleasure for myself, Chris, and then for Zabi here in the booth. Look forward to seeing everybody again tomorrow for the Truck Series at Las Vegas, and then Thursday night for the Cup Series at Atlanta, since they did not race last week. That being said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, click that thumbs up, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, for race number 3 at Las Vegas in the Truck Series.